What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Jump Rope to Freedom. Today's video is going to be a tutorial on the EB side swing. Please subscribe, hit the thumbs up button. All right, let's do this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the first focus area, which is coordinating wrist and arm movement. This is probably the most important part of this move. So what you want to do with this move and what you want to pay attention to is that there's two things going on at once. What you're doing is you're bringing your lead arm down and rotating your wrist down while simultaneously putting your off hand behind you. And that's what creates the EB side swing move. And you can notice that there's no jump associated with this move. And we're going to go over this in slow motion. But when you're starting this move off, you just want to do this movement here that I'm doing over and over again until you can get it down pat. You want to do a side swing and then you want to come down and execute the move as best you know how. We'll get into it in slow motion here and break down the mechanics. So you can see I'm starting with a side swing and I'm rotating my front wrist down. And that's what you want to pay attention to here is the front arm comes down. You can see my right arm is my lead arm in this situation, and it's coming down and rotating back up. So you can see, and it's very intentional how I'm bringing my arm down. If you're not intentional with this move, then the rope will get caught. It takes a good bit of intention and purpose to get this move down. So you want to make your moves exaggerated in the beginning until you can get used to it. The second thing you want to focus on is that the front wrist is turning over when it comes down. It's very similar to a side swing in that the wrist is turning over, your front wrist is turning over to create the movement. So you can see I go into the side swing, then my wrist is coming down, my front wrist is coming down so that the rope goes in the direction that it's supposed to go in. You want to make sure that you know the side swing for this move. You can do this move without a side swing, but it is much easier if you know the side swing in order to do this move. But you want to make sure, number one, that the front arm is coming down and the wrist is rotating downward in the first part of this move. And we'll get into what the back arm is doing in a few seconds here, but that's what you want to focus on in the beginning with this move is the front wrist coming down. Now let's look at the back view in the coordinate wrist and arm movements section so we can see what the back arm is doing. This is the more complicated part of this move because it involves turning your wrist upward while bringing the rope handle behind you. You can see I'm doing a little bit quickly here, but I will slow this down for you and we will go through the mechanics. So what you're seeing here is while I'm putting my front wrist and front arm downward, I'm also bringing the offhand, which I'm alternating between my right and my left hand in this, behind me. And that is the key to making this move work, is being able to bring your arm behind you, rotate your wrist upward, and then execute the move. We'll go into how to get back to the starting position at the end of this video. But we are going to switch into slow motion here and you'll see the offhand, whatever offhand I'm using comes behind. I recommend that you use your non-dominant hand at first. So for me, that's my left. So the back arm goes behind. The back arm has to go behind at almost the same second that your front arm is going in front of you. So those movements have to be coordinated in order to get this move executed in a way where it's going to work for you. So remember, when the front arm goes in front, the back arm goes behind. You're almost executing a side swing, except you're bringing your back arm behind you. That's the only difference between a regular side swing and the EB side swing, is your back arm is going behind you. You can see I'm starting to move with a double side swing and my back arm goes behind. Now the other key to this move is you can see my wrist. My wrist is going to rotate up. You can see that right there. My wrist rotates up when my arm goes behind me. So whatever arm you use, your right or your left arm, when it goes behind you, your wrist needs to rotate up. If your wrist does not rotate up, the rope is going to get caught and you're not going to be able to execute this move correctly. So look at how my wrist turns up. My palm is toward the sky. So if I were to open my hand while my arm was behind me, my palm would be toward the sky. That's how you want to do it. Kind of like you're about to take a bow. Your arm or your wrist should be at the small of your back and should be rotated upward toward the sky. That's the only way that you're going to be able to do this move. If your wrist is down, it's going to be very difficult. Now, the second focus area, which isn't as important, but is also instrumental in executing this move, is making sure that your lead leg comes out of the way. So if you notice here, my right leg, which is my lead leg in this situation, is moving out of the way. And the reason that you need to move your leg out of the way is so that the rope doesn't get caught on your leg. Remember, you are not jumping during this move. This move requires no jump. So the rope has to go somewhere. So instead of going under you, the rope is going to your side, which means that you have to move your foot out of the way. You have to move your leg slightly out of the way. That was a little bit exaggerated, but you have to move your leg slightly out of the way and get in practice of doing that so that you don't catch your foot or your leg on the rope. So we're going to look at it in slow motion. Remember, you want to move that lead leg toward your body. So your lead leg in this situation, if you're right-handed and you're doing this like me, would be your right leg. You can see my right leg moving toward my left leg and then moving back as soon as I know that I'm going to execute the move correctly and clear the rope. You see there's not much margin for error here. There's not much margin for error. See how close the rope comes to my body. It's within inches. That's why this move is so difficult, because you have two arm movements going at the same time, and then you have to move your leg out of the way. So you have to coordinate three movements essentially at once, which makes this move in the realm of the intermediate to advanced realm of jump rope tricks. I know that it took me about a week to get the coordination down. And then once I figured out that I needed to move my leg out of the way, it got a lot easier. But that's key to this movement and this trick. I don't think it's as important as getting your front and your back wrists and arm movement coordinated. That's the key to this trick. But if you don't move your leg out of the way, it's going to be difficult to execute this move seamlessly to where you can execute the move and then go right into another move as a sequence and a jump rope combo. All right, now we're going to look at the coordinate leg movement focus area from the back. And the reason why I slow these videos down and show the clips over and over again is so that you can see the movement over and over again. This is how I learn jump rope tricks, by watching someone do them over and over again, so I can see all the intricacies and the mechanics of the movement. You can see here, my right leg was the lead there, and then I actually didn't move my leg there. So you want to make sure you move your leg out of the way, but I used my left there, so I moved my left out of the way. I'm using my left hand there, so my left is moving out of the way, and you can see it's just a slight movement to get out of the way of the rope. That's the key here. You want to get out of your own way, get out of the way of the rope as it passes to the side, because remember, the rope is not going under you, it's going to your side. The rope has to have somewhere to go, so you have to move your leg out of the way. We'll see here in slow motion again, and a little bit of a zoomed in view, making sure to move my lead leg toward my body and out of the way of the rope. I know that it gets repetitive, but I've found that one of the only ways to get these jump rope tricks down and to get the muscle memory down is to do them over and over and over again, slowly, kind of like what I'm doing in this video. The only way to build those pathways into your brain is to do the movement over and over again. And a lot of times it helps seeing someone do the moves in slow motion, because if you watch someone like Buddy Lee or any of those other super advanced, super awesome rope jumpers, they're moving so quickly that it's hard to see what they're doing. So keep noticing here that as I do the move, I make sure to move my leg out of the way. And then as the rope comes back down and I exit the move and come back to the starting position, what I'm doing is moving my leg back away from my body and back so that I have achieved a center of gravity and I'm back in the starting position. This is key. You want to make sure you move that leg out of the way. Now, if you don't want to move your leg out of the way, what you can do is you can try to stretch your back arm out further across your back, but I have shorter arms, so that's not the best option for me, but it's all about figuring out what the best option is for you. This is just what works for me and what I would recommend if you're just starting this move so that you can get the movement down. Focus area 3 is one of the harder parts of this move, and that is returning to the starting position. This is probably the part of the move that I had the most difficulty with because I couldn't quite figure out what was going on. So what you're doing is you have 3 movements going on at once, and as you want to be able to come out of the move so you can land this trick effectively. So what you're doing is you're doing the EB side swing, and then as your front arm comes down, you want to coordinate bringing your front arm back up along with bringing your dominant or your non-dominant arm, my left arm in this position, back up as well. So what ends up happening is the rope is in a sense suspended behind you for about half a second, and then you are bringing both arms back up so that you are in the starting position. So let's look at it in slow motion. My hands come behind me, I bring both arms back up, and then the rope comes over me. So the front arm will continue down and then it'll come back up. And we're looking at it from the front view here. We'll look at the back in the next section. But notice how my front arm comes all the way down and I naturally follow the motion, rotate my wrist back toward the sky, and then bring my front arm back up. Now we're just focusing on the front arm here. Notice how I bring my front arm down, my wrist makes a full rotation, and then the rope comes back up like that. It should be natural. It shouldn't be a lot of thinking involved and a lot of forcing involved. It should be natural. Now also, you want to make sure that you bring your foot back to the starting position. This is important because if you are linking the EB side swing to a jump rope sequence or a combo sequence, you're not going to be able to move seamlessly to the next move in your sequence, whether that's a jump, a side swing, if you don't achieve your center of gravity again and bring your right foot, your left foot, whatever your lead foot is, back to a position where you can jump. It's kind of like in basketball, the triple threat position, where you can do anything from that position, but if your feet aren't in the correct position, then you're unable to shoot, move, pass, dribble. Now let's look at it from the back view here so we can see what the back arm is doing or your non-dominant arm is doing. So as my front arm is coming down, my back arm and my back wrist is doing essentially the same thing. My wrist is rotated up and then it comes back around. So I do a full rotation with my wrist, and then at the same time that my front arm is bringing the rope back up and doing a rotation, my back arm does the same thing. So it's bringing the rope back to the starting position over my head, and then it's in a perfect position for me to jump over the rope if I want to, because it's coming right down in front of my feet, or I can go into a side swing to make it an easier transition to the next move. So remember, as the front arm comes down, the back arm comes back up along with the front arm. So you go down and then up with both arms, just like that. And we're looking at it in slow motion again. A couple things to remember here. The first thing is the back arm continues down and then comes up slightly, and it's coordinated with the front arm coming back up. You can see that here in slow motion, and it's a lot easier to see it in slow motion. Remember, the toughest part of this move is coordinating both of your arms and your wrists together, because they're both doing similar things, but they're not doing the same thing. So what you want to do is you want to wait for your front arm to finish the downward motion, and then that should key in your back wrist to rotate back up and to bring the rope up so that the rope is coming over you, just like this. like you're doing a regular jump. So this move can be a little bit difficult, but as long as you practice it slowly, like what I'm doing in this video, it may seem difficult, but it's actually not that hard. If you can just look at someone doing the move in slow motion and you can not rush it, you can do 10, 15 minutes of what I'm doing here, just side swings and EB, so you can get the muscle memory down and so that you can burn a pathway in your brain and ensure that you have that muscle memory, because it's all about muscle memory here. It's all about muscle memory. I remember a couple of years ago when I was trying this move, I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but I sat out in my garage and I just practiced it just like this, and I ended up getting it after watching a tutorial on it. So remember, you want to coordinate your arm and your wrist movements together and bring the rope back up over you. Now, after you learn this move, the goal is to be able to link the EB side swing with other moves. So you see here, I did an EB side swing right there, another one right there, and then I go into a side swing and some regular jumping. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do exactly what I'm doing here. You're probably a lot better than me at this move, and that's awesome. You can make your own combo. This is just my version of a freestyle with the EB side swing. I'm doing consecutive side swings there. I'm using my left hand. I'm a little bit more awkward with my left hand than my right hand. You can see that I'm obviously right-handed, but I'm stringing them together, and it's all about, at the end of the day, just having fun with it. That's why you learn, or that's why I learn jump rope tricks, is so that I can add some variation and do some different things. Some of the common mistakes that I've run into personally with doing this move, the first one is not having enough arc on the rope, which means that your arms aren't separated enough and they're not coordinated enough to where the rope doesn't have enough arc to pass over. See, right there, the rope got caught on my neck. I think it actually got caught on the strap of my hat, and right there as well. My arms were not creating enough arc for the rope to get over my head. And that is a very common problem with this move, is that since the move requires you to stretch your arms a little bit, it can be difficult to create enough arc. So you really have to exaggerate your movements in the beginning, kind of like a double under, where you are jumping a lot just so you can get the movement down, and then you can jump less after you get the muscle memory down. The next common mistake is one that I harped on earlier in the video, is it's not moving your foot enough to make enough space for the rope. And I don't have a clip of me making a mistake there, so what I'm showing here is the importance of what moving your foot out of the way looks like and what it looks like to do it correctly. But there have been plenty of times where I have caught my foot on the rope, and it's been because I didn't move my foot out of the way. So that's another common mistake. Hey everybody, thanks a lot for tuning into this video today. I appreciate your support immensely. Thank you so much for that, and for continuing to watch the channel. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up button. It would help the channel continue to grow. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, jump rope to freedom. Peace. Thanks for your support.